Alhamdulillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah wa anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. My dear friends, there are people who accuse the work or us of doing the work of the devil, of trying to dilute our deen, of trying to reduce and to undermine the message of Islam, the message of the Qur'an. Nothing could be further from the truth. I think what these people don't realize is that Islam is under siege. Islam, the message, the idea of Tawheed, the idea of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the idea of a divine code and a divine presence and a divine universe is under siege. It's being challenged. It's being challenged everywhere. And we are under siege and we are under attack from the forces of Satan. And these people who are accusing us of diluting the deen are the ones who are telling us that you have to go and fight and you have to defend arguments that have no basis. Arguments for which the only proof is that your parents did it and you should do it also. My friends, these are not proofs that will stand the test of scrutiny. We cannot go into the battle of ideas, into the battlefield of ideas, and use the argument that we're doing it because our parents told us to do it. We are doing it because the holy men said we must do it. We are doing it because it is written in Bukhari and it is written in the holy books of men of centuries gone by. We cannot use those as arguments. Those are not arguments. Remember, the Prophet never ever approached his challenges or his enemies or his detractors without clear arguments, without clear proofs. And you're asking us to confront the enemy or the indifferent people of this world without clear arguments, without clear evidence. How on earth are these people supposed to believe because we say that we believe, that's why they must believe? Our forefathers believe, that's why they must believe. That's not an argument. That's not an argument. That is not a reason for somebody to change his beliefs. Just the fact that Muslims do it, they should do it. And well, you can use the force of arms, yes. You can keep a gun against their head, but we don't have the force of arms. The force of arms is not with the Muslims. We only have our arguments. We only have the strength of our arguments. And here you are telling us that you should go and defend Allah's message, defend the holy message of Islam, of the Prophet, of the Qur'an, by just telling people, do it because we do it. Do it because Bukhari said so. Do it because Abu Huraira said so. These are not strong arguments, my friends. These are non-arguments. They are not arguments at all. They are what we call in the world of reasoning and argumentation the fallacy of authority, the fallacy of invoking authority. And there's no strength in an argument that is purely invoked or using authority or using the force of history. There's no strength in that argument. An argument, the strength of an argument is in whether it makes sense. And we have to go out there and we have to present to the world a message that makes sense. And that's the only way this message will carry itself, is by making sense. People will not die. Our people on this channel, people who agree with the theme of this channel, will not die for a message that has no support, that has no strength, that has no a proof attached to it. And a proof is not to tell me that Abu Huraira said, the Prophet said. That's not a proof. That is only a proof that Abu Huraira said it. It's not a proof that the Prophet said it. Remember, in Islam, the only witness is, there's never a requirement for any contract to be valid without two witnesses. And in some case, 4 witnesses. And yet you are telling us to accept the word of the Prophet on the basis of 1 witness. They call it a hadith, a khabar ahad. It means there's 1 witness that saw the Prophet do something or say something. And you are asking us to accept hadiths based on 1 witness, which the Qur'an does not accept. The Qur'an accepts no more or no less than 2 witnesses. You know that. You've read your book. Why are you asking us to buy a body of work, of hadith, of sunnah that is not consistent with the Qur'an? Why are you asking us to die for that? We want to die, but we will die for Allah and for His unquestionable, undoubtable word, and that is the word of the Qur'an. And so we here are not diluting Islam. We are putting up the final defense of Islam. If you haven't seen it by now, then you are blind, my dear brother. We are here constructing the final stand, the hill at which we will die. That is what we are identifying, is that hill. But we will not die at the hill of Abu Hurairah. We will not die at the hill of Bukhari. We will not die at the hill of Ayatollah this and Ayatollah that. We are going to die at the hill of the Quran. And if you are not able to see that now, then you are blind. Because we have decided and we have come to the conclusion that the only book that is really undoubtful, that has the message pure and clear, is the Quran. And from there, we will authenticate all other books. We will corroborate all other works, whether it is the Bible, whether it's the hadith, whether it is the Old and New Testament. From that Quran, we will use that as the furqan, as the standard, as the control by which we will measure all other books and all other works, in addition to our rational mind, our sane minds. And so this work, this channel, what we are busy with here is not an undermining of the Quran. It is the final and ultimate defense of Quran and of Islam. And do not accuse us of diluting Islam. Do not tell us that we should throw people from buildings, which you find in your hadith. Do not tell us that we have to stone people to death when that is not in the Quran. Do not tell us that we should marry girls of 6 years old when that is not in the Quran. You go and you die for your false beliefs, but don't force us to defend and to exhaust our energies and our lives and our persons for such nonsense. We are not prepared to do that. But we will defend every precept, every principle that is espoused in the Book of Allah. We will defend justice. We will defend the world against the tyranny of the rich, of the elite. We will stand up for what is true. We will stand up for the orphan and the defenseless. We will stand up for the elderly. We will stand up for the women who are oppressed and marginalized and excluded from what is due to them. That is what we will stand up for. Not for the fake nonsense that you've imported and dragged into the house of Islam, into the house of Allah. Those things, you can die for those things, but we are not prepared to die for those things. Alhamdulillah.